2020. We are starting a little bit late as we facilitated the broadcast of the Royal Grenada Police Force's news conference that started at 8:30. It just wrapped up, so now we are ready to get underway with this morning's program. And this morning I have joining us virtually is Minister of Trade and Cooperatives, the Honorable Oliver Joseph. He's our guest this morning. Good morning, Minister Joseph.
Hey, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and good morning to all your listeners.
Thank you very much. Let's get right into it with less time. We're going to get right into the details. We are talking this morning about the proposed merger between the two organizations, the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association and the Grenada Cocoa Association. I think my first question would be, is the merger happening?
Thank you to hosting me on this program. A lot has been said on the merger from all sides. Let me make it very clear from the beginning that only one outcome the government desires is for both associations to come together in the interest of farmers and to empower farmers. Government has no intention of taking over the operation of the GCNA or GCA. So I want to make that absolutely clear. Where are we today with this merger? This is not a new concept, or the idea is not new. Several studies point to the fact that 90% of cocoa farmers are also nutmeg farmers. And therefore, it seems logical that if the two associations come together, they are representing the same people, and therefore having separate boards and separate administrative costs will lead to inefficiencies. And so the Complete Caribbean submitted a report in 2030 recommendations to deal with this issue of merger. 12 of these were pulled out as urgent recommendation for consideration by government in consultation with the commodity boards and farmers. The process that followed, a committee was established to look at these 12 recommendations and submit for Cabinet's consideration the way forward. The document was sent to the committee before coming to Cabinet, because that is the process that was agreed to, that we will await the committee's recommendation. But the document ended up in the press, in the media. But that was only supposed to be for the consideration of the merger, the committee looking at the merger. It is only after this committee would have sat and deliberated, then a recommendation will be forwarded to Cabinet for Cabinet's consideration. So I was seeing the document for the first time in the press because it did not reach Cabinet yet. So this document that's going around has no legal effect. To give legal effect, there is a process to follow. Comes to Cabinet. Cabinet then makes recommendation. It goes to the Ministry of Legal Affairs for drafting as a bill. The bill, when drafted, will be submitted for discussion and consultation. It is then, after that stage, the bill then goes to the lower house, where it is debated. Changes can be made. Then it goes to the upper house, which is the Senate, where further changes could be made. And in fact, the upper house can send it back to the lower house if there are any substantial changes to be made. And it is after all
Minister, we seem to have lost the audio. Minister, can you hear me? We seem to have lost the audio, which is what we were experiencing prior to the start of the program. Let's take a break and see if we can sort this out once again. This is To The Point. We're speaking with Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Cooperatives, Honorable Oliver Joseph. The topic on the front line, the proposed merger between the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association and the Grenada Cocoa Association. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll resume the conversation. This is To The Point on Classic, GBN and Hot 98.
I'm Francis Urias Peters. To really know who I am, you must look at the plays that I've written over the past 30 years, because they reflect hard work, discipline, and my inner beliefs. Now, these values were shaped by my earlier bringing, because I was always curious about my roots and my identity as a Caribbean man. Now, I'm a good listener, and K105 has always been a great source of education and entertainment. Now, while the station name may have changed over the years, it has always provided valuable information which enabled me as a playwright to document and to celebrate our history, our behavior, and our achievements. K105 is my choice. It's the national station.
Greetings everyone. I hope this message meets you and yours in the best of health as we join in encouraging all to act responsibly.
COVID-19 presents the most serious
and deadly challenge
any of us will experience in our lifetimes.
We must act now.
We need to keep the Caribbean safe.
We can all help to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Please stay at home.
So Caribbean people, please stay home.
Caribbean people, please stay at home.
Please stay home. It's that simple. This too shall pass, but for now, stay home.
Stay in your yard. Stay home, stay safe.
That's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
See it first on GBN. All the stories, from politics to industrial unrest. Tourism. Light it up. Entertainment. Sports and culture.
Great shot there of Anderson Peters from Grenada, the Commonwealth Games bronze medalist.
See more on GBN, your most credible source for information. Nightly at 7.
Welcome back to The Point. We are speaking with Honorable Oliver Joseph, Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Cooperatives. We had a little bit of interruption with the audio, but hopefully everything will be back to normal and we can continue the discussion. Minister, you can hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Lovely. All right. So let's resume the conversation. We left off with the process as it relates to Parliament. Continue.
Right. So, yes. So I'm saying that it will go to the Parliament, the Law House, where the bill will be debated. Then it goes to the Upper House. And even at this stage in the Upper House, changes can be made and sent back to the Law House. So what we have now is just an initial recommendation. That's what is outside there. And lots of opportunities for consultation will be given to all stakeholders, especially the farmers, so they understand exactly what direction we are going with the merger. It is not meant to force a merger on the two associations or to take control of the association. It is meant to ensure that the association operates in a more efficient and effective manner. And there are different business models that we can look at. No final decision has been made yet as to what form this business model will take. As I said, everything is out there for discussion. And so I don't think the public need to see this present discussion as a fait accompli. In other words, that government already decide what they want to do. It's not like that. And so I think while we're spending a lot of time on this draft, and what we consider as a draft is not even a draft, in my view. When we have the final document, then we can come back and discuss after we get all the inputs and we see what the final version is like. I would like to then engage in the discussion on that. But as I said, process is ongoing. So why a merger at this time? As I said, this recommendation was made a long time before. And it is not because of COVID that they are proposing a merger. This report was done in 2015. And we have always maintained the position that one association will provide greater returns to farmers through lower operating costs, increased farm output and value-added products, better marketing, more efficient and profitable asset management, and higher levels of private sector investment. This government has always demonstrated its confidence in private sector investment. We have said clearly that the private sector should be the engine of growth, and government role is to facilitate that. So when members come to me about agro processing and said, Minister, why doesn't government get involved in it? He says, no, if there is money to be made, then why doesn't the private sector get involved in it? And government will provide all the concessions and all the support to private individuals, because these companies are better run by private individuals rather than the state. And we don't believe that the state should play any dominant role in what the private sector can do in a more efficient way. And this policy has not changed. And with respect to the merger, it's the same thing. That the farmers get control of their association and make business decisions so that the farmers in the long run can benefit. The 1947 Cooperative Act served the association for a long time, but we always have to keep reviewing how you do business in order to stay in business. If you just continue operating the same way you operated in 1947, in this era, you are bound to fail. And therefore, I think the two associations should see it as an opportunity now to better serve farmers by coming together and cutting costs and being more efficient and return to the days of surplus for the farmers. Because it's the farmers over the years that have ensured that the two associations function. And so it is estimated that the cost savings that can be generated is close to $1 million if the two associations come together. If you look at the present situation, where both associations approach government for assistance, and rightly so, because they continue to purchase nutmeg and cocoa, but cannot export it. So they cannot earn any income from the sales of the produce. So they are buying this produce from farmers and stockpiling it. So they obviously not making any money. And so the government took a decision to give $1 million as a grant to each association to continue the price support, because they are paying the same prices pre-COVID. The same price continue to be paid to farmers, and therefore the government felt it necessary to support the association so that farmers can benefit. Farmers can have the same price, because in this difficult time, we do not want to see the farmers in a worse off position. And it was on that basis that both association, Cocoa, 1 million grant, and GCNA 1 million in grant support to maintain prices.
Minister Joseph, let me ask, one of the, as you just pointed out, in relation to the relief that both associations sought, it comes up to 5 million, if my memory serves me right?
Well, yeah, we have to be disaggregated. The GCNA was given a grant of 1 million and a loan of 2 million, so that makes it 3. Mm-hmm. The Grenada Cocoa Association a grant of 1 million and a loan of 1 million. So that's where the 5 million come up.
Right.
So the 5 million is not all grant. Out of the 5 million, 2 million grant support.
And 3
million as loan. Now, if that went to one board, one association, so if you had one body, the 5 million could do much more than having to split the 2 million for cocoa and 3 million for nutmeg.
But that's the part that's the part that has me a little bit, should I say, confused, because even if, let's say you have 5 nutmeg farmers and 5 cocoa farmers, nutmeg gets the 2 million and the cocoa get 3. Even if you put them together and there are 10 of them, 5 million would still be the same. It would still do the same as it would if the two organizations were separate. That's how I see it. So I don't see.
No. They operate
so break it down for me.
Remember,
Understood.
Okay, it's 2 separate entities with separate administrative costs, with separate assets, separate liability. They operate independently.
Right.
So you're right. So what the GCNA will do with a 2 million loan will be different from what Cocoa will do with a 1 million loan. The 1 million grant is for price support in both cases. But remember, these associations operate separately.
Right.
And they say, although it's the same farmers, you correct by pointing out, the same farmers that will benefit. But when you go and sell cocoa, the money given is to maintain the cocoa price at present. When you go and sell nutmeg, is to ensure that this nutmeg price is maintained. So you're going to take 2 different associations, the same farmers. 90% of cocoa farmers are nutmeg farmers.
Okay.
Right? So we are saying that there are efficiency gains by having one association running the affairs of the farmers. They're basically the same farmers. Okay. And that has been pointed out in numerous studies over the years. And I've heard comments, so yes, they're prepared to merge. And of course, in any merger and acquisition is a normal course of business all over the world. And I think that the benefits of this merger need to be expanded on more so that all the stakeholders can better get an appreciation for the merger. I said, in merging, there are different business models that can be pursued, and we'll listen to the GCNA and GCA because they have assets separate liabilities that are separate, staff, separate administrative costs. So the model must address how you bring the asset and liabilities of the two associations into one. So there's a lot of discussion that needs to take place. As I said in the report, there are a number of recommendations as to how to proceed, and we want the feedback from the farmers on how we proceed with this merger.
One of the questions. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask, one of the concerns I've heard from members of the public is, why is the idea of the merger coming from government and not from the organizations, from the two associations? Why is this basically up to government to decide if they should come together as one, and not the farmers themselves or the people running the organizations for the farmers? Sorry, you can't hear me? I know I can't hear you. I'm seeing your lips moving. I know I still can't hear you. So once again, we're going to take another quick break and see if we can rectify the issues. Somebody's internet is not cooperating, but this is To the Point. We will be right back. Let's take another quick break.
It is important to know what your road signs and markings means. The zigzag lines means you should not park in the marked area. Parking is allowed inside the solid white lines on the edge of the road. Remember, look out for pedestrians. Pedestrians, be sure the vehicle comes to a complete stop before crossing. These tips can save your life. These tips can make our roads safer for all users. Be safe, be seen, be smart. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
Going beyond the ordinary. Examining the stories beyond what meets the eyes. GBN gets to the meat of the matter. Join us on GBN Television, Classic Radio, gbn.gd, or on Facebook via your smartphones and other devices. We take you beyond the headlines every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. We are GBN, rated number 1.
Stop the spread of germs that can make you and others sick. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, use your elbow. Wash hands often, especially after coughing or sneezing into a tissue.
Welcome back to the Point, speaking with Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Cooperatives, Oliver Joseph, in relation to the GCNA-GNA proposed merger. Minister, before we lost communication before the break, I was asking, members of the public are concerned that the idea for the merger is coming from government and not the farmers themselves or the people running the associations for the farmers. So why is the idea for bringing those two associations together coming from government?
Well, it's not coming from government directly, because this consultation, the recommendation, and the work done by Complete Caribbean met with all stakeholders, farmers, the board, the general public, and this recommendation was submitted to the government, and it was discussed with the commodity boards. But if you have to pass a bill, it must come through, it must be the prerogative of the government. It will have the process, as I explained, is that you have the consultation, The recommendations come to cabinet, and then it is sent to legal affairs, and from legal affairs it is sent to parliament. So if you have laws are in the domain of the government, the cabinet of Grenada.
All right. At this point, let's open the phone lines to members of the public who may have questions, queries, comments, concerns in relation to the merger. In the interest of time, we have less than 20 minutes. If you can please keep those phone calls to 1 minute or less, that would be appreciated. You can dial 435-2041 to ask the minister your question. You can also type your questions on the WhatsApp. It's also 435-2041, but please only written messages on the WhatsApp. You can also pose your comments, questions, queries, concerns on the GBN Television Facebook page and the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel. So let's now go to our first caller. Good morning.
Blossom, I'm going to be very quick. I was listening to the program last week Monday night, and I'm highly annoyed. And I have to talk about it briefly, how Oliver treated Odette Campbell. She was only simply asking questions that was relayed to her by the Facebook on behalf of the public. I was so disappointed. He was arrogant, aggressive, truly his behavior unacceptable and disgraceful. I want to say to Oliver, as a public servant, because people have fancy name about minister, you're a public servant and we are paying you. You are answerable to us. We are paying your salary, and the resources of the state belong to the people of Grenada. Therefore, you are compelled to answer any questions, because we have entrusted you all with our affairs. The resources of the state doesn't belong to any individual.
Thank you, caller.
So stop this disgraceful behavior.
Thank you, caller. Minister Joseph? Minister? Can you hear me? I cannot hear the minister once again. Minister, can you hear me? Once again, we're going to have to take a break and then come back with Minister Joseph. Internet does not always cooperate with us. Let's take another quick break and see if we can get back the minister. This is to the point. Have some patience, please. I'm trying my best to have some myself. Have some patience. We'll be right back.
My granddaughter.
welcome back to the point. We are making a little bit of adjustment so we can facilitate the minister. Let's make sure I can hear him. Minister, you can hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
All right, good. Okay, so let's get back to the questions. We now have 15 minutes. Let me see if there are questions on the Facebook. All right, so Minister, we have a question on the Facebook. Which private sector individuals or companies does the government have in mind to get involved in the merger or the bringing together of the two associations?
The GCNA and GCA, that's the only two companies.
All right. Another question asks, if the initial objective was to let farmers manage the associations, then why does the draft give so much authority to the government minister?
We are looking at the draft, and the farmers will have an input, and the final document will determine after consultation what will happen.
Another Facebook question, what is the government doing to assist the GCNA to recover money owed to it?
GCNA as a business entity in operation for many years know how to get money from the creditors. Any business knows that, and therefore government do not have to tell them how to get money from creditors.
A WhatsApp question now. Minister, you did not answer directly whether the merger is definitely taking place. Does the government intend on or prefer merging the two entities? And is there a consideration to merge or combine the new cocoa and nutmeg boards under the MNIB to realize further administrative cost savings?
The merger, government is proposing the merger, and the business model will be defined later.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Minister Joseph, I want to compliment you. Since last week on the Beyond the Airlines, you did a great job together with the Minister of Agriculture in explaining, the merger and the way forward. And government has no interest in taking over the association, because there is some propaganda going out there as though, the government go take over the associations, the mergers, and so on. But I just want to compliment you on the selling points that you talk about, the benefits that will arrive with the private sector investment and so forth. So I want you to elaborate a bit on it, because when you look at the 1947 ordinances, we're still under the colonial powers. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Minister?
Yes, as I indicated, since 1947, the Cooperative Act, and way before the 2015 report, in 1995, you had a study that recommended the merger between the two farmers, and it's simple. As I said, the farmers belong to both associations, and there are so many benefits to be derived by operating one. And what will happen is that all these benefits will then go to the farmers. So the farmers will be the one benefiting, not government. And that's, we keep stressing this point. When you merge and you have efficiency gains, all the gains will go to the farmers on Grenada.
There is a Facebook question. Can you tell us who will be choosing the members of the board and how many representatives the farmers will have on that same board, and also how many will be from government?
That will be decided on in the final act. There is no final decision on this yet.
All right. Minister Joseph, after Ivan, the government guaranteed millions to the garden groups of hoteliers. The nutmeg farmers took a great hit during Ivan. The industry was destroyed and government gave no effort in helping the farmers replant. No production went down and there was fewer stations opened. Why is government so interested in farmers and did nothing after Ivan to help them get back on their feet?
It is not correct to say that nothing was done to help farmers get back on their feet. If you read the report of the GCNA and GCA after Ivan, it's clearly stated that what assistance was given to farmers during that time.
In relation to the merger, will some administrative staff stand to lose their jobs? Are some administrative staff standing to lose their jobs with the merger?
When you merge the two associations, the staffing issues will be dealt with because you'll have to streamline and perhaps make cuts in some areas. That discussion will take place between the two associations in determining the staffing levels required.
All right, let's go by. I love how we're flying through these questions. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Citizen Welsh, and good morning to your guests. Now pay attention to what I'm going to say here. In this here country, we know very well how many, the amount, or the quantity, the number of statutory bodies, state-owned entities that have been ruined by inefficiency, incompetence, ineptitude, corruption, and manipulation. Ruined to the point that some of them have even been sold out to the friends of the so-called powers that be. Was that any attention paid to efficiency then and otherwise? Leads me to the question. What moral authority does the government of Grenada have to intervene and dictate to two independent, privately owned bodies which owns their means of production? Where does the government get and note the authority I'm talking about, no, the moral authority? Thank you very much and have a nice day. Will you, Citizen Welsh?
Thank you to Citizen Rollo. You do the same. Minister?
The government has no intention of taking over or dictating to the boards. What the government has set out is the recommendation from a recent report that points clearly to the gains that can be had if the two associations merge and become one. And what the government is doing is facilitating this process through consultation with all stakeholders. That is what the government is doing.
Is there any plan to review the law which gives a monopoly to GCNA on the purchase of nutmeg and cocoa? This law is archaic and prevented private investors who all but ran out from Grenada from making a contribution to the economy. Is this law even legal under international trade laws?
The law, the 1947 Act, will be reviewed. One of the recommendations in the same report I'm quoting from, Complete Caribbean, talks about law reform and the way it should be done in order to make the board relevant and forward-looking. The legal environment will be taken into consideration and changes will be made to the current legislation.
When did the government pay the $5 million to the two associations in loan and in grants? Have they actually received the money sent to them by government?
The Ministry of Finance has processed the grant. The loan, like all other loans, the both parties will have to agree to the terms and conditions and get sign-off on it. No sign-off has taken place yet in regards to the loan. The terms and conditions will be discussed and worked on, and as soon as this is settled, the loan component will be made available to the two associations. But the grant, as we speak, has been processed for onward transmission to the two associations.
Let's go to the phone line. Good morning.
Good morning. So, you talked about a few minutes ago about asset. And you also talked about the benefit deriving from the association being joined or being combined. One is, I would like to know how you all come to the conclusion to know what the cost would be less to run it. Because you said that just a few minutes back, you do not know, because when the lady asks you or someone asks you about would they cut the number of people that work in, and would you bring down costs? Two, the next question is, tell me about the asset. When you combine both of them, the farmers, maybe the Cocoa Association may have more asset. I don't even know what they mean by asset. Let's take it for granted. And the nutmeg has its own asset, previous asset, call it so. And the Cocoa Association have its own asset. Let me ask you this. What's the value of the cocoa asset and the value of the nutmeg asset? Would you think a man, let's say you have $1 million or $2 million, you think if they say, well, let me bring back everything to equality, you would want to lose half and give me some of yours? So I want you to answer this question. If you think it would be more viable to the nutmeg people, or you even only have only nutmeg, would you like to go with cocoa when you know where cocoa may benefit out of your nutmeg if you merge both of them? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister?
First of all, let me indicate that we are talking about the same farmers. As I started earlier, 90% of cocoa farmers are nutmeg farmers. So the merger will involve almost all the farmers. Now, merger is not a new business model. In this case, the organization will migrate to a new business model that supports enhanced distribution channels, increased export capacity, cost reductions, and other opportunities for growth. The current structure at the GCNA and GCA should be redefined for relevance to the new strategic direction. So when you go through a merger, you have to ensure that you have experts to guide that process in order to ensure that the merger takes place in a very efficient and effective manner, and that is what will be done. As I said, when I said about the staff, obviously, if you're going to merge the two associations, you may not need all the staff. The transportation, both parties have their own transport system. They have the different extension services. They have different buying points. The last caller will know that. You need to rationalize buying points. Your cocoa buying points, your nutmeg buying points. You have extension officers for cocoa, extension officers for nutmeg. You have different administrative costs. All we are saying is all these should be brought together as one, and you will see savings coming from that. In terms of the asset, well, these associations have audited financial statement. So the assets is clearly stated there, the liability clearly stated there. There's no hidden agenda. You could go and look at the GCNA, they make their financial statements available at the annual general meeting to the farmers, and all the figures are stated there. So in the merger, it's clear the assets that you bring together and the liabilities.
Another Facebook comment. Where did it just go? Right. The merger is not for farmers. It is for government to have more money in their pockets. The farmers will still be working hard for little or nothing. Only the operators will benefit.
How government getting money from the merger? I don't understand the point. The question need to elaborate more, because government do not collect any money from these associations. So I don't understand about government collecting money from them. Government gets no money from them, from the association.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister. Any final words as we wrap up this morning?
Yeah, what I want to say is allow the process to take place. I like the interest shown by farmers. Continue to make your voice heard. Make your recommendation, so that when the document comes to cabinet and it goes to the lower house and the upper house, at the upper house you have a farmers representative, that the final document will be one that is satisfactory to all stakeholders and one that we can work with.
Thank you very much, Minister Joseph, for speaking with us this morning. You have yourself a good Wednesday.
Thank you very much, and same to you.
Thank you. That was Minister of Trade and Cooperatives, the Honorable Oliver Joseph, our guest this morning. We thank him once again. We were experiencing some technical difficulties, but we sort of worked it out and we were able to complete the program. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Those of you who posed your questions on the various platforms, appreciate your participation. That's the end of my time today. Joseph is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. Continue doing what you need to stay safe. Have yourselves a productive Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow, God willing. Have a good one.